Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Welcome to Wells Branch Community Church. My name is Chris Plekenpole. I am so glad that all of you are here. And if you're like new and you've never experienced the gloriousness of a Sunday morning here, we are so glad that you're here. And one of the things we love to do is ask questions. And so you could text us at any point. We won't think you're like checking, your fantasy lineup or anything. We're going to know that you're going to be texting a question here of anything about the sermon you don't understand, or anything about Christian faith, culture, or everything in between. Okay, so I think I have a little bit of an echo. Can we turn that down just a little bit? How's everybody feeling about my sound? Good. All right, is it good? Okay. All right, so one of the things that I've learned here is that over the past couple years, we have had, really, COVID has wrecked our ability to be friends. Did you guys know that? Like, you used to have friends that were a little bit different than you when it came to politics or anything. And then all of a sudden, COVID came along and disrupted that, and now you're sort of angry at a lot of people, right? Not our church, of course. We're like so much more spiritual than that. But for a lot of us, we have encountered the reality where like sort of anger and vitriol has sort of dominated our day. And so you sort of now pick your friends based on like their social media interaction. And I think what happens is when we do that, we're gonna fail at being the church, all right? And here's what I've heard and here's what I've learned. Men have always struggled at friendship. Can we just be honest? Once we graduate from college, we're good, all right? We've known that. Like, this has been a historical issue since like the dawn of time, okay? But more recently, I've heard from more and more women how they feel more and more isolated. Like relationships at work, there may not be a glass ceiling, but there's a glass of interaction between others. There is, from women here, it's like, I just can't connect. How do I get in? There's always been that question. And listen, ladies, it's complicated, isn't it? I'm just saying. Like, what happens is the reality is like for a lot of us, we sort of struggle at overcoming a lot of the hurts, hang-ups, habits of our past. And then so that has kind of brought us into a place where we're just not very good at being friends. And so social atrophy has kicked in over the past couple years. And I want to kind of bring up a Bible verse for us that sort of makes the reality of how bad we need each other. Let's check this out. Hebrews 10, 24, 25. It's good that everybody's here. Let us consider how to stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together as is the habit of some, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day drawing near. And in this is a lot of stir up one another to love and good works, not neglecting to meet together but encouraging one another. There's a whole bunch of another's, and what we do usually is like, that's church. God wants us to go to church. And so you show up once a month, which I'm grateful for that once a month. But the reality is that what has happened to us is that you can't spur anybody on to love and good works by doing church 24 times a year. Right? I mean, there might be a killer sermon that I pull off. They're just like, man. And you just keep reflecting back to 2018. And you're like, that one sermon that he preached, I still remember it. I don't remember anything else he's ever said, but that one thing. The problem is we need this to love one another, to stir up one another to love and good works, like daily. Like you need this daily. But the reality is you can't, and if we're honest, Orlando showing up to me saying, let me help you, spur you on to love and good works. If I don't know you, then that's just flapping your gums. You might as well be a talking head on a newscast, and I might even agree with you, but it's not going to change any part of my life until we start to know what it really means to stir up one another or to spur one another on, encourage one another. I think this is so huge. Now, let me help us out, because again, we've had social atrophy over the past several years, so we're going to do like kindergarten basics of how to become a friend. You guys, is this okay to do this at church? Is that okay? I think we need this. Okay. So it goes like this. Proximity means you are a stranger, but at least you're that, okay? So right now, you're sitting next to, a lot of you, everyone just do this weird thing where you look down your row. You did a good job of making sure you didn't sit too close to anybody. That was good. That's called a stranger. Welcome to, and usually we rhyme that with danger, right? Stranger, danger. So if you just showed up, you don't know if that guy's a creeper, you don't know. And so what we do is that over time, proximity plus time equals an acquaintance. And so a lot of you actually don't have any friends. Can I just be real with you? You have a lot of acquaintances. Just saying. I'm just going to let you know where you're at. And so that's fine, right? Like everyone's got to start somewhere, all right? So then proximity plus time plus transparency, that's where you're going to equal a friend, okay? Now, a friend is like that. Everybody needs friends. That's how you're going to encourage one another. You're going to be able to kind of go deeper with one another, but you won't be able to go deep unless you have purpose. So proximity plus time plus transparency plus purpose, that equals a deep friend. And then finally, the thing that nobody wants, but you actually really need, is accountability. Nobody wants that. You can be convinced of something, committed to something, but without accountability, you know this from trying to lose weight for the past 20 years, that you aren't going to do anything, and that's what a forever friend will do for you. Okay, now you're like, Chris, where'd you get all that? I actually just made that up, all right? So like, there could be way different things, but as I've just sort of taken note of like what it takes to be a friend and like the depth required of what we're all longing for. We're all longing for that. And so this morning, I'm going to walk into some Bible verses. We're going to watch how Jesus goes from acquaintance, and he's going to take us all the way to deep friend in one sitting. And we're going to, over the next several weeks, we're going to spend a lot of time in this, more so this area. We're going to start the acquaintance piece here because I feel like people just need to know how to move from acquaintance to a friend, and really maybe stranger to an acquaintance. Like, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about that this morning, and then throughout this series for the next 4 weeks, we're really going to focus on what it is and how it is that we can have actual, real, live human being friends that we want to experience on beyond just sitting next to them on a Sunday and give them one of these, okay? All right, so we're going to be in Luke chapter 19, and we are going to be talking about making friendship our business. And we're going to be watching how Jesus overcomes like our specific business of a specific plan that he had. We're going to watch him see opportunities that God gives him, and then we're going to watch how he's going to help a person that would never want to change unless he had a deep interaction with friendship. All right, that's where we're going. We're going to be in Luke chapter 19. If you don't have a Bible, would you please check in front of you? Or somewhere in your vicinity, there should be a sweet hardbound black one that is our gift to you. If you don't have a Bible, we would love for you to have one. All right, let's pray and ask God to bless the reading and proclamation of his word. Father, thank you that you're always on time and that you came near to us when we were strangers, when we were aliens, when we were far, far, far from the goodness of God. You came pursuing us. And so, Lord, as we talk about something that's sort of challenging for a lot of us, with a lot of social atrophy, with a lot of inability to connect beyond a digital screen, God, I pray that you would use this to get us to be material people with a spiritual bent and a heart that's been focused on you, but then we can interact with material people with the way you've called us to do all the things from your word. And that our life here on earth would reflect yours in heaven because of that. Lord, we love you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. And everybody said, amen. All right, we're in Luke 19, page 878 in the Bible that's in your vicinity. And this is the story of a wee little man. A wee little man was he. His name is? Zacchaeus. Way to go. We have some Bible scholars in the house. All right, he is Jesus. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. This is important. Jesus, if you're not familiar with the story of Luke, he says, I'm going to set my face like flint towards Jerusalem, which means come hell or high water, I'm going to Jerusalem. He had a date that he needed to be in Jerusalem to fulfill what Daniel had prophesied like 700 years plus previous. Okay, so he has got a specific calendar that he is working with, and he's just going through Jericho. He's not looking to hang out. He was passing through, to which you're like, got it. No, this is important. I want you to hang on to that passing through. And there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. And if you don't know anything about tax collectors, they're not like IRS agents of today, which for the most part are not needing to be in jail, but rather he would make his money by taking money off the top, okay? So he was given the authority of having Roman soldiers help extort money from locals, especially his own people, and that is how you make yourself rich in that day, is you abuse the little guy. So he was not very many people were a fan of tax collectors, especially the chief tax collector, especially that because he made his money and he was very rich off the poverty of others. Okay, so that's sort of who we're dealing with. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. To which, well, that's interesting. Here's a guy that has been spending his life defrauding people, has been spending his life using and abusing others, and he wants in on the Jesus. Now, listen, was it because Jesus did miracles? Probably. I mean, this guy's not like soul searching, like, I really love that Sermon on the Mount. He's like, the dude did miracles. I want to see this guy. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not because, and this is everyone's favorite line, he was small of stature. He was come on, everybody. Wee little man. All right, good. If you didn't grow up in church, welcome. We're going to school you backwards for that. He was a wee little man, and a wee little man was he. And so he went and he climbed up on a sycamore tree. Exactly. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. The sycamore tree just gave him a view. It did not give him an interaction. It gave him a view. But here's the thing that's important about this is that Zacchaeus had to do something with his calendar. Now look at me. This is huge. Zacchaeus prioritized seeing Jesus. Now, if you, this is, I know, I'm about to go super basics here. Super basics. If you want to have a friend, whenever you say, let's get lunch, you immediately pull out your phone and go when. Otherwise, it's just a lot of talky talk, right? Does everybody know this? So listen, and this is just for free. I don't want to, and my wife hates it when I say it's for free, but this is truly just solid, free, good advice. All right, here it is. Anytime someone says, let's get lunch, and then they don't follow up with that, they didn't really mean it. It was them being nice. Okay? So like, don't get your feelings hurt that they didn't follow up. That was them. It was like saying, how are you? They're not actually asking for like a drawdown of your life. They're just saying hello, and that's civil, courteous, polite talk in Texas culture. Actually, it's kind of funny. I had a neighbor. He just moved here from Minnesota. He goes, man, Texans are so nice. They're always asking how you're doing and like really wanting to know. And I didn't have the heart to tell him at that point, like, actually, they don't care. They're just saying hello. But it was, anyway, it's just the reality, right? But to do that, you have got to prioritize seeing somebody by putting friendship on a calendar. If you do not have friends, then you need to be intentional about putting friendship on a calendar. Okay, I know you're like, Chris, oh my God. Because I feel like your biggest struggle is you might be a victim of, here it is, you don't have friends, and watch this, not because you don't have people to hang out with. It's because you're a victim of just simply responding to other people. And so you don't have real friends. You just have crisis after crisis, and over time, you don't know how to be a friend because you only know how to be there for somebody in a crisis. And so there's nobody that can ever help you. There's nobody that can ever speak to you. There's nobody that can ever be involved in your life because you didn't prioritize your time with somebody that might add benefit to you because you're always responding to somebody else's crisis. We'll talk more about that in a second. So usually I get a lot of crisis. I mean, it's my job to get crisis texts. So there's no like negativity about crisis texts, so send them. But the reality is, as a pastor, I get a lot of crisis texts because, well, I signed up for it, which I love it, so please do. But what I do is, if you'll notice, I think you'll see it says all my notifications on all my phone are off. So if you try to text me, I may or may not respond for a while. because I don't see any little numbers anywhere because I put it deep in my phone, so I'd have to really work to get to my text messages. My wife really hates that whenever she starts wanting to find something in my phone. She can never find it. But like there is like, it's buried under several things, so I have to actually work to get to my text messages so that when I'm with you, I'm with you. So that I have no buzzing going off. There's no like, well, what if a crisis happens? I do check my phone in between like times when I meet with people, but the reality is while I'm meeting with you, I put my phone down. This really is helpful in marriage, just FYI. If you're like, single people, you're like, I don't really know. No, it's important. Like, actually, it's effective that you don't have your phone out staring at it while you're married. Start now. All right, and I think what happens is, here's the reality about all the like crisis that you're missing out on. All right, here it is, because I know there's crisis. I get it. I'm not saying there's not. Is that the crisis inevitably resolves itself in the amount of time that it takes me to go look at my phone. Almost every single time. I get it. Call me now. I had like several texts over the weekend. Call me now, call me now, call me now. And I'm like, oh man, sorry I wasn't able to get that for several hours. Is everything okay? Oh yeah, it worked itself out. Like 3 or 4 different people. And so what that means is, you are not that important. And so your response to somebody's urgent need and demand for you is not necessarily needed. No, but I get it. It feels good to be wanted, doesn't it? There's a part of us, there's a dopamine kick when somebody needs us. That's why you're checking your social media all the time, see if you get likes or, loves or a care you really get concerned about. What do they mean by that? Like, there's a reality of like, we're always sort of in that world. And so I want you to kind of see that, to be known and to have it as to put your phone down so you can be present where you are, but then also use your phone to make your count. All right, we're gonna keep it moving. All right, watch this, next verse. So Jesus comes to the sycamore tree. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down. Now, why? Jesus is never in a hurry. In this moment, why the hurry? And the only thing I can conceive is he's really thinking, I really got to nail this date with Daniel. And Daniel's a prophet from the Old Testament where he predicts his coming on Palm Sunday to Jerusalem. So he's like, listen, I got a thing. Come on. Or it could be like he's just really excited. Hurry and come down. Either one. I don't know. I kind of like to think there's some like prophecy he's trying to fulfill, but probably not. He's just trying to get Zacchaeus motivated because he's a wee little man. It probably takes him a while to get anywhere. All right, so Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. Now, something changed. It went from I'm passing through to I must stay. Do you guys notice that? I'm passing through, I'm going to Jerusalem, gonna do a Palm Sunday party. Everyone's gonna be waving branches, Messiah, Hosanna, the whole thing. It is gonna be a cool shindig. I've been preparing this for several hundred years, don't wanna be late. And all of a sudden, as he's passing through, sees Zacchaeus and says, hurry, come down, I have to. It's part of the plan. Stay at your house today. And I appreciate Zacchaeus. I could just see him scrambling down. Oh, so he's hurrying, he's scrambling down. And he received him joyfully. And he's excited about it. He's not irritated by the fact he had to scurry down the tree. And when they saw it, and the they here are Pharisees, religious people, those people that wouldn't hang out with Zacchaeus because not only is he a wee little man, he's stolen most of their money, all right? They're not big fans of Zach. And rightfully so, if we're just honest. Like, if there is anyone to be mad at, if there is anyone to, cancel, Zacchaeus. And so when Jesus uncancels him and goes and hangs out at his house joyfully, they saw it and they all grumbled. They're angry because he has gone to be the guest of a man who we don't, think he's a sinner. We know he's a sinner. It's just that the government has... every law, it creates morality, and their morality was, guess what? Tax however you want, just as long as we get our cut, you get yours. He is a sinner. All right, so everyone knows that. Now, watch this. And this is the part where you're gonna feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. Jesus put his purpose over his plan and ate with Zacchaeus, all right? Jesus, or maybe put it a better way, Jesus put a person over his plan and ate with Zacchaeus. Now watch this. This is where you might be saying, look, Chris, like that sounds like it wasn't on a calendar and then he put an extra thing on top. But Jesus, again, is perfect, so he knows calendars. He created margin in his world so that there could be a time that he could have a target of opportunity. Now, in the Army, whenever we'd run around the battlefield, there would be high-value targets that would sort of pop up on the radar, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, everyone drop what you're doing. This guy is like number 7 on the most wanted list. Everything else we're doing, not quite as important. We're gonna go take care of this guy. That's what it was. So here's a target of opportunity. Here is Zacchaeus wanting to experience Jesus, and he's like, I do that. Now, I feel like this is where I struggle. And Adrian will be like, hey man, like this is the part where I struggle. I tend to over-calendar my life because I like things planned out, and I can't think about something until I'm in that calendar slot. Does anybody else have this problem? Like you literally that doesn't even exist to you until you're literally in that box. You're like, oh wow, this is beautiful. Look what you guys have done in here. Didn't even notice. Oh, wow, you're in front of me. Let's talk. Like that's generally how I roll. And so what I have to do intentionally and sometimes unintentionally, because my wife forces it because she's really good about this, is that I have to yield and create margin in my world to have moments where when Zacchaeus wants to invite me over for lunch or invite me over for dinner, I have time. And it hasn't always been like that for me, if I'm honest. And I think this is the struggle. Just because you can put something on the calendar doesn't mean you should. Just because it's free doesn't mean it needs to be filled. And I think you can be a victim of your calendar when you see something. This is why, at every corporate everything, you don't actually want to show your calendar where it says like office hours where you're supposed to be like doing emails and stuff, because everyone feels like they can interrupt you at that time because you're not really doing anything that important. But the reality is you need time of nothing space. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know? In fact, in the Army, it was literally in like, the thing I love about the Army is that they gave us a field manual literally for everything. And it said, one of the most important jobs for a company commander is to sit and do nothing. To which every soldier was like, see, I told you, you literally do nothing. But that is the thinking space. That is the time where you like sort of process life. And if you were over scheduled, and if you're like, you've crammed it to the absolute brim, especially with people that drain life from you, then you're not gonna look forward to doing church, and there's a good chance you're gonna get burnt out. In fact, a lot of you are at our church because you got burnt out from the last church because you were sick and tired of all those people. Like, church would be great if it weren't for those people. So welcome here. I'm so glad you're here. It'll probably be a while. You'll be at the next church. I'm sure they'll love you too. All right, like, I think that's how we roll. That is how we roll. We just we don't understand how it is to balance. Okay, now this is the part I want to sort of lean into. There's a difference between I call them ministry friend and family friend. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? All right. A ministry friend is someone, it's a one-way interaction. They come to you in their crisis, and you go, oh, that's so hard. Let me pray with you. Wow. Hey, let me get you something to eat. Let me bring you some food. Let me do the thing. Let me do the thing. Now, you invest too much there. In fact, this is what happens for a lot of you because you're crisis Christians. You live here. And you're always you don't give anything to your spouse. Your spouse is always getting leftovers because you've been serving the world. And you feel good about it when they go, oh, I don't know what I do without you. I don't know what I do without you. And you're just like, thank you. I am amazing. But then you resent that person later. You know how you know? You talk about them. So then you need, but I'm not saying like, don't do ministry. Of course, that's what we're here for. We're here to like love the world. But you need to have family. You need to have people that, the classic, Tom Hanks line, gripes go up, they don't go down. You need someone where gripes go back and forth. You need someone that can go, here you go, can you believe what my wife did? You need someone, and then they go, have you seen what you did? You need to have those interactions. You need to have someone to sort of push back on you and be like, Oh, I'm sorry. You know what that sounds like? The tiniest violin ever, right? Like, I think you all need those moments where we need someone to kind of speak truth to us. And those are real, genuine friends. I call them family friends, and they can pop in whenever. Those are the people that can fill up margin. It doesn't feel like it's crushing your soul. But I think for a lot of us, we spend a lot of time in ministry friends, and we don't know what real friendship is. You don't even know. All right. And then we end up, we start blaming the margin people, meaning we end up blaming those who are ministry people for our own lack of boundary, our own lack of ability to recognize our own need with ourselves for real, genuine friends. And you know what's really sad? The most powerful people in ministry usually are crisis Christians who can be there for everybody else, but they don't have take a moral inventory, emotional inventory of their own lives, and they have zero clue that they need a friend. Okay? So I think for some of you, you need to put a person over your plan. Because you got a plan, and you're very direct about it. A to B, and then crisis people come up, they interrupt your plan a little bit, they're okay because they needed it was a crisis. But I want you to stop saying yes to the crisis and saying yes to people that give you life. All right. Now, watch this. And Zacchaeus stood, when you stand, it's like making a declaration. It's like an open house, so everyone's sort of watching. I mean, it's interesting that this is a really crazy place to have a dinner party with all the Pharisees going. They're literally watching the whole thing. And Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, which I appreciate, there's a definite change. He didn't go to see Jesus, he came to see the Lord, okay? And he said to the Lord, behold, Lord, half of my goods I give to the poor. And all of a sudden, everybody outside is like, oh, well, that's, when you're worth $1 billion, 500 million, ain't that, whoa, big deal. Like, why don't you put your name on that? We'll call it Zach's Poorhouse, and you can go there. And so they're probably like, nah, I don't know. Behold, Lord, half of my goods I give to the poor. And and this is the part that I love, and if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. Now, Old Testament Mosaic law, I know that if everyone's counting, it was 20%. If you stole something for somebody, you stole money for somebody, you stole $100, you come back and you pay them $120. He's saying, I'm going to come back and pay them $400. My son got his bike stolen this week, and so we're like, we'll take 4 bikes, please. No, but here's the thing I want you to see. Like, this is it, right? Half of my goods I give to the poor, and then if I've defrauded anyone of anything, which he had, he's going to pay it back fourfold. This is like in the rich young ruler who would come to Jesus. He says, hey, give everything away to the poor, sell everything, give it to all the poor, and then come follow me. Essentially, that's what Zacchaeus is doing here. He's having that moment. And what I want you to why are we telling the story? And Jesus is going to say, today salvation has come to this house. Salvation is here. He's been changed from the inside out, since he also is a son of Abraham, which just means a son of faith. Abraham is the father of faith, right? Abraham believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness. So it was his faith that saved him, not the giving away of the money. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save the lost. This all fits within Jesus' purpose. Now watch. Jesus' prioritization gave Zacchaeus purpose. Now, have you ever heard this? You are like, your personality and your character is the product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You guys heard this, right? And I think that's true. Like, if you hang out with fitness people, like if you look around, if like the top 5 people you spend life with are really physically fit, you'll get, look at me, I'm physically fit. How'd that happen? Like, if you hang around the top 5 people you hang with are just so like pessimists and angry, you're dripping with sarcasm. I'm just telling you that's how it is. Like, so this is what happens. Whoever you spend time with, they are going to eventually change you, unless you're Jesus and you're perfect and Son of God, and so everyone's going to be more like you. But I appreciate this about Zacchaeus. There was a time when I was the guy that was the ministry friend, but I didn't know it. And most of the time, if you're a ministry friend, you don't actually know it. And it's probably good, because who wants to be labeled? But here's the reality about ministry friends, all right? I had a friend of mine that was like, again, I was the ministry friend. And he would like, hey, Chris, let's talk about Greek. And like, he would do this thing that later I got really angry about. You know, like where you lead somebody on like discovery learning and they know it the whole time and you're like working really hard to figure, I was like, I'm gonna learn this Greek word. And he'd be like, why don't you go this direction with that? And I'd be like, oh, that was really insightful. And then about 6 months into it, I was like, wait a minute, you've been discipling me. I thought we were equals. That was my buddy Randy. I'll never forget, I treasure my friendship with Randy. Whenever I talk to him, I just think of how patient he was with my arrogance, how just genuine he was as a friend. But I needed somebody, and I became more like Randy over time. And you need that. You need that. You need to be around people that aren't always on the edge of a blow-up anger. You need to be around people that are genuine and sweet, but you can't just, again, crisis people, you can't just live in that zone. And so how do you do that? How do you manage this? I'm just going to give you my secret, and now it's out, and so you'll know, this will be weird, you'll know you're a ministry friend when this happens, so I'm telling you what I do. All right, ready? Whenever there's a person you want to do ministry with, or go like your ministry friend, you take a friend with you. You take a friend. So in general, if you're new to the church, I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to come meet with you. I'd love to come meet with you. I'll probably take somebody along with me because I don't know where you're at yet. And it's an opportunity. So it does two things. One, it builds my bond with my person I'm training. And I always my goal is to take somebody with me, a family type friend with me everywhere I go because I want to disciple them, pour into their life. And then at the same time, when there's an opportunity for ministry, it's like, boom, I can teach and guide and learn. And then all of a sudden that person isn't a ministry person, but it's someone that's more like family. Now I know, and now I've got 3 friends. A web of relationships is how you do that. So I feel like what happens for a lot of us, we feel stuck all the time, like people have pinned us in, and you sort of get terrified when they want to know a date to hang out, and you feel like, what do I do? They want to hang out with me. You do this. And if you haven't done this, you're the person, so sorry. So what happens is, how do we handle that? All right, how do we handle that? We need to move to a place where we are balanced in our approach, and we take intentional time. And I don't want this to sound selfish, but what I do want you to realize is that the boundary isn't selfish, because what happens for most people is they get burnt out on church. And I want to prevent that. I want you to have genuine friendships here. I don't want you to go to community group, man, I have to do community group again. Oh gosh, can you believe those people? That's the last experience. I wanted to be like, I am excited to hang out with those people because they give me life. And I even love hanging out with people that need ministering to, because that gives me life, because I'm doing it alongside those who are like family to me. We need meaningful relationships. We need meaningful experiences because we have a meaningful faith. You guys know that. We've talked about that. So the question then inevitably becomes, are you making friendship your business? Because you need it. And for the most part, we are terrible at it. All right? Now, can I just tell you what the best news about all this is? That Jesus knew we'd be terrible friends. He knew. He knew we need some Holy Spirit help. And that's why Jesus went to the cross for all of our lousy friendship experiences, for all the times we weren't there for somebody, for all the times somebody wasn't there for us. And he died and he rose from the dead. And so that means one of the things that we do is we take the Lord's Supper. And this is a great time for us to be reminded of God's goodness. So in other words, we eat of this bread because it represents something. Our souls feed on Jesus like our stomach feeds on this bread. And if Jesus isn't Lord of your life, no, really, if there's some sort of besetting sin, whether it's sexual, whether it is financial, whether it is you name the thing, then don't take communion, because what you're saying is, Jesus, you aren't Lord. What you are saying is like, I'm good on everything. I like the salvation. I like all that, but I don't want you to be involved in my life. Thank you. And so listen, I'm not saying you're not saved. What I'm saying is like, don't take communion or the Lord's Supper, because many people have gotten sick and even died because they have taken it in an unworthy manner. In the same way, Jesus' blood is what saves us. And so we take the cup, wood for wine, glass for grape juice, and we drink it, not because we need just a quick hit, but we drink this because it's representative of what Jesus did for us on the cross. His blood that was shed, the wrath of God that he took for us so that we could have salvation and joy. That's our hope. And so don't take the Lord's Supper, don't take the cup if there is something in your life that is between you and God. Now, what do you do if there's something between you and God? You confess. Did you know there's 1 John 1:8 says, if we say we have no sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. Most of us walk around self-deceived. You know that. But the good news is if you can come just say, God, check my heart, cleanse me, show me where anything of darkness is, and he reveals that to you, here's the beautiful thing. If we confess our sins, God is faithful and just to forgive us and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And so as we come, before you come up and you take the Lord's Supper, what I want you to do is just sit there. And if there's been like some friendship issues, like some, people barriers that you have between you and God, if there's something like you're like, I want to take communion, I want to take the Lord's Supper, but I'm not going to forget, I'm not even going to go there in my head. I'm not going to come. No, I want that person that has offended you to come up, and I want you to forgive them in your heart. I want you to walk through this place of pain with Jesus. If there's any besetting sin, if there's any struggle, I want you to give it to him, and then you come. If you've never accepted Christ and you don't know him as your Savior, there's nothing better you could do with your life right now. You give your life to Jesus and let him change you from the inside out. Give you the capacity and the ability not just to be a crisis friend, but to be a real, genuine friend. And I want that experience for every person here. So as we sing, as we take the Lord's Supper, I want this to be a moment of connection with Jesus. So if you don't know him, this might be an act of faith that says, I'm stepping out in faith, believing that Jesus died on the cross for my sin, rose from the dead, and your very first act of faith is taking the Lord's Supper with us. I would love that. I would love that. And for the rest of us that have been struggling, this is a time to just reconnect with God, to just sort of restore relationship and make it all right with the friendships that have gone sideways, the friction with our spouse. Just time to just contemplate the Lord's goodness to you in this season. Would you pray with me? Father, you do all things well. You have transformed us from darkness to light. You heal us. You restore us. You do more than we could ever hope for or ask. And Jesus, my prayer is that somebody for the very first time would turn their life over to you. And they would simply say, Jesus, I'm a sinner. Sinned against you, my thoughts, words, actions. I believe you died on the cross for my sins, rose from the dead. Holy Spirit, come to my heart. Make me the person you want me to be. And God, I pray if somebody would pray that, they would respond, and there'd be joy, and there'd be hope. And they experience the Lord's Supper as we all take together. And then God also, this morning, for those that have been just walking a lot of life through and just filled with frustration and friction, Jesus, would you start to do a work in people who have called you by name, but because of just the past couple years of friction, they have gotten angry, they've gotten polarized, they've gotten isolated, and would you help them take a step back and move from stranger to acquaintance to friend to deep friend to forever friend. God, do a work. We love you, Jesus. It's all for your glory, we pray. And everybody said.